Hello and welcome to another Dr. Spotfire quick tip video. My name is Jose de Aguirre from Spotfire, and today I'm going to show you how to write back to the database using information links. We're going to be able to create records, update records, or delete one or many at once. So I have a Spotfire analysis where I'm looking at expenses. My database is Postgres and I just want to make some write back calculations on my database. It's a relational database and is coming all that data with information links. So I'm going to update, create and delete records using information links. But first, let me show you how it works. So if I want to create a record, I just put the date, let's say today's date. I'm going to do a test record, put it to finance. That's fine. I'm going to put that amount and create a record. So now it's created. I can see the line right here. Let's do another test and click create. Now I have two records and let's say I create a duplicate record. Let's create another one and I delete these two. Now I'm going to use the delete function, select the records that I want to delete and click delete. Okay, now let's update a record. I'm going to update maybe this one that has a typo. So I'm going to copy the values over here, remove the typo, click update, and now this record is updated. I can also update multiple records, and the only problem with this is that it's going to update all the fields that I have here at once. So just let me put some values here, some big numbers, so you can immediately see what's going on here. So when I do update, it's going to update all the fields, but it doesn't matter because when I explain you how I do this, you can create a little button here that it will only update that specific field because the approach is basically the same. What I'm doing is just updating all the fields. In order for me to show you how this works, I'm going back to my manual refresh. Basically what's happening is that I am performing the calculation and then I refresh this data table. It's just for you to see what's going on. So let's start with the delete button. The delete button refreshes an information link and the information link performs the deletion. The information here is visible right here. I'm going to move to my delete and you can see that I have one information link for each operation, for insert, update and delete. So we're going to start with the delete and my information link is returning some message that two records were deleted. So I'm going to delete these three records. When I click delete, I click delete, the information link refreshed and it returned the records that were deleted. Then I can refresh this other data table or information link and it's going to just basically refresh that and then you will see those records that deleted now. So let's look at the delete information link. The delete information link is this one right here. So this information link, what I have is that I modify the SQL. You might not have permissions to do that, but if you do, that's great because now you can create the pre-updates, the query, and the post update. So what's the difference between these three? So you can perform different SQL statements all at once. But the main one has to return some kind of value, and this is the main one, the query. That's the one that is going to return you all the data. The pre-updates is going to perform a calculation. It's either a delete or update, and then it's going to execute the query. But in this case, I want to show how many records were selected, and I am passing as a parameter the records that I selected, and I'm going to show you how. And that's by adding this parameter row IDs, and that's going to give me the count of records that are going to be deleted. And then right after, I am performing the delete operation, and again I am putting in my work clause the rows that I have there. So that's the information link for the delete. So how do I implement that information link that has parameters? Let me show you. I go to data. Well, actually, I can go to my data canvas. And one nice thing about the newest version of the Spotfire is that now you can see all your data tables here for convenience. So my delete table that's come from an information link, I can change the settings by going to the on-demand settings, and here I can pass this parameter. So because my information link has a parameter, it's going to show me that I have to define a parameter as the input. So I'm going to define the input, and then I'm going to select the values from column is coming from my expenses table, which is my main table, and then I am going to select the row ID. So it's going to pass all those unique identifiers as the parameter for the word clause, and all those records are going to be deleted. And it's obviously marked, limited by marking, so that's the record that are going to be passed to my parameter. And that's how it works. So make sure that you have the data on demand, so you can set up the parameters. You can maybe uncheck the allow caching, and that's all you need to do. So now when I when I make some changes, like for example, if I select these 3 records, then I see that my delete is asking me for, because it detected some changes in the parameter, so it is asking me if I want to refresh these with this little icon. But might not be very intuitive to click on this refresh button, so I created this button that basically refreshes the information link. And the way I do it is I'm going to the text area, going to the delete button. This is my text area, this is my delete button, and the script is just the reload all data function. The parameter is my expense delete information link that is going to be refreshed, and when it refreshes, it's going to delete the records. Now the update is the same thing, the similar approach. Let's go to my updates, and let's look into the information link for the update. So let's go to the updates right here, and in this case I am updating the records before I execute the query that returns the number of rows that were affected. So this is my update. I'm passing a couple of parameters. These parameters comes from these document properties right here, and my query it's just returning the number of records that were updated right here, and where of course with the where clause for the records that I selected. Now let's look at the update information link. So go to I can also go to data table properties. That's the old way to look at the properties. Go to the update, go to the settings, and now I can see my parameters, and all these parameters are coming from document properties, except from this one that is coming from the entire row of the selections I already explained when I was deleting records. Okay, now let's go to the next one, the create button. The create button is essentially the same. Let's look behind the scenes. The information link for the create, which is the insert, and this one is, look at the SQL, the modify SQL. What I'm doing here, I don't have pre-updates or post-upgrade, but I can call a stored procedure if I want to, and in the case of Postgres, I can insert records and I can immediately return the records that were inserted. So depending on the use case, you can have that, or you can just simply have, okay, this number of records were created, or anything that you might feel necessary depending on the use case. But in this case, I'm not using any of that. Now this button right here, that's the only one that we need to address. This button simply selects with the IronPython the values for the first marked row, and is going to just populate the document properties. So when I click here, it's just going to update. Now I can do the update accordingly. And I think that's it. Oh, well, in order to, because I'm running the information link that performs the calculation, and then I'm refreshing the data table, what I do here in the auto refresh, because I tested and everything works fine, now I don't need the refresh button, so I can do it all at once. And these buttons, let's look at them closely from this one. If I look at any of these, let's look at the update button. This script is going to reload all the data, and once the data is refreshed from my from this data table, which is a script parameter that is pointing to my update information link, after all the data is refreshed, and this is something new in earlier versions of Spotfire, before you do the refresh, and that does asynchronously, you can have two data tables, and that's going to not work very well. But now they created this update where it's going to finish one task and then go to the other one, and the other task is just to refresh the main data table. Here I have hard-coded it, so I don't have to pass the parameter over and over again, and that's how it works. Check out the link below where I mentioned how to create these calendar pop-ups. I must say that this is not the only way to write back to the database. About a year ago, I explained different ways on how to write back to the database. Check out the link below. I hope you like this video, this quick tip video, and don't forget to like, subscribe for more information.